Hey, what's up guys, it's Texumer talking to you here, and today I want to cover 3 stories. 2 good news and 1 that is not that good of news. But it's one that might be into a reality check, because I do think that this third piece of news will change the way you look at leaks and change the way you look at your iPhone 14 decisions to buy, because it's quite of a big deal. I think that before we should do that, let me just tell you that please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel. We are growing, we are almost at 400 subscribers. Please help me reach 1,000 subscribers at least by the end of July. So let's go, please subscribe to my channel and let's get this video started, shall we? The first piece of stories of today comes from Apple itself. Apple has just replenished its Apple cloth stock. So if you want to buy that clean and minimalistic Apple cleaning cloth, like, it's quite expensive. It's I think $19. But if you want to buy that just to clean your MacBook screens or even your iPad screens, your iPhone screens, then go for it. When it first was unveiled with the M1 Max MacBook Pros, it almost went out of stock. Actually went out of stock in the first day, so it was crazy. It was cheap and it's actually very good quality. So if you want to grab one of those polishing cloths, just go to the Apple store. It's available, and it's available to pick up, it's available to go to your house very quickly, very well. So Apple has stock on those, and if you are interested, don't forget to go and grab one of those yourself. Then for the second piece and for the real piece of today, which is the iPhone 14, my first and second leaks will be about this phone and which should we expect to come with this iPhone. Well, in the first place, some leakers, and I think it was TrendForce, I'm not sure, now have released a report saying that the iPhone 14 will feature a 48 megapixel rear camera. This is in par with other leaks like Min-Chi Kuo, Mark Gurman and other leakers that have said that. John Prosser also talked about that. So having one more leaker talking about this is just one more confirmation of what we should expect, and Apple will upgrade their camera for a 48 megapixel rear camera. This is incredibly cool because our shots will be even better with even higher resolutions, and this will enable, according to Min-Chi Kuo, 8K video. Yes, 8K video is coming to iPhone. One thing that is left to know is, are we going to get 8K at 60, 8K at 30, or 8K at 24 frames per second? And also, will we be able to shoot 8K ProRes video? If that's so, then we're going to need a 2TB or even a 4TB iPhone, because that will take a lot of space. According to MQHD, I think theoretically an iPhone 14 Pro that has a 48 megapixel camera and can shoot 8K ProRes will take up 24 gigabytes per minute. That's equivalent of 42 minutes for a 1TB iPhone. So that's crazy. We need even more space. And so, in my opinion, I think that Apple should increase the space on their iPhones and, of course, introduce a faster way to export these types of heavy footage. But that's not all. I'm also questioning myself if Apple will evolve cinematic mode to 8K or just stuck it at 4K 60 frames per second. That's my prediction: 4K at 60 for cinematic mode and 8K at 30 for ProRes, and again everything down below like 4K at 60, 8K at 24, that will be also ProRes capable. But again, this is 48 megapixel rumor. It's not bad news certainly, but it's not new. I think that other leakers have talked about that also, and so this just confirms it. How will Apple solve the problem of the big sensors on low lights? Well, they will use pixel binning, like I talked about in other videos. Pixel binning is a very difficult technology to explain and to understand, but I've done it in other videos, so go check it out. But resuming it, it's just a way that Apple bins it together, just puts together the small pixels, like for example 48 megapixels, they make a square which has 4 pixels and they treat it as one. So instead of having 48, you take 12 megapixel shots, and now you have bigger pixels to deal with low light situation, to take good shots at night. So again, this will be incredible to see Apple putting a good 48 megapixel camera on the back, just like the Pixel now has. And let's see if Apple can finally beat Samsung and Google on every single category, because now Apple has incredible photography, shots and videos, but it loses in some categories to Samsung or even to Google, because those two now have big sensors. The Google Pixel 6 Pro has a 48 megapixel sensor, and the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra and sequentially the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra will have a 108 megapixel camera. So that's important that Apple brings now the hardware up to par with those competitors so they can bring us even better quality photos and videos. Of course, 8K should be the main reason that Apple is going for a 48 megapixel sensor. Then for the second story, and the one that is not as good as I was telling you before that, is the fact that Ross Young, yes, 100% track record on Apple Track, has told us that the pill-shaped notch is not happening. According to Ross Young, we will not see a pill-shaped notch on the iPhone 14, neither on the iPhone 15. We should expect it at least by the end of 2024, so on the iPhone 16. According to Ross Young, Apple will use two types of notches in this type of device. It won't be the notch on the iPhone 14. According to him, we will see a new notch on the iPhone 14. Well, according to Ross Young, we will see a pill-shaped notch and a cutout notch, like the Android phones do have. So we will end up having a pill-shaped notch and a circle besides it, because Apple won't put the infrared camera behind the display. According to Ross Young, Apple won't put the infrared camera behind the display at least until 2024, and so has this leaker, he's a display analyst and it's 100% track record. I completely agree with him and I completely believe with him, so I can say it's almost confirmed that Apple won't use a pill-shaped notch, not even a hole punch display notch. So I do think that Apple will use this display that is represented in these photos. I think that these ones are the real deal, so let's see what Apple will do. Will I upgrade my iPhone just for that? I mean, it's just stupid. Apple is just removing the black part around the notch. I don't think why Apple is doing this. I don't see why. Maybe a design change just for the sake of design changing. I'm much more interested in the cameras. But again, this is the bad news of today's video. We won't see a smaller notch. We will see a smaller notch, but we won't see the smaller notch that we wanted. Even with the hole punch display, people were saying, oh, that looks cool, that's smaller. But wouldn't it be even cooler if Apple removed the notch completely? Then another leaker came, and I think it was Dylan DKD, said that the notch will be a pill-shaped notch, and everyone, oh, maybe a bigger notch. It sucked. I wish it was a hole punch display. But then everyone is like, oh, okay, that's fine. It's different, and it will differentiate from the Android phones that have the hole punch displays. But now, Ross Young, the most reliable leaker of them all, and actually the only display analyst of them all, is coming out and saying that we won't see neither a hole punch display, neither a pill-shaped notch, but either both. Those both will combine with the cameras on the pill-shaped notch and the infrared cameras on the hole punch part of the display. So it will look more like a pill plus a hole punch together, like the leaked photos saying that this was the iPhone 14's display. But again, this is not finalized. According to history of iPhone, Apple does not finalize their phones until at least February or March when they start mass production. So we are now at the end of the prototype phase, so Apple can change a lot of things. So take these leaks with a huge grain of salt. But like I was telling you, if Ross Young is telling us that this will happen, the probability of it happens until now, and according to its track record, is 100%. So I do believe Ross Young on this, and it's much more believable when a leaker comes and says that something is not happening when compared to a leaker saying that something incredibly out of the question will happen. So again, I do believe Ross Young, and I do think that the iPhone 14 will have a different notch than the iPhone 13, only on the Pro models, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, but it will be smaller, like smaller, but who cares, because that part of the display with the notch won't be usable, but it will be smaller, and again, smaller in two types of notches. We will have two notches on this iPhone, a pill shape and a hole punch. What are your thoughts on these types of notches? Don't forget to leave them on the comments down below. So I was thinking, why did Apple just simply cover this area here? Why do they simply like go here and simply cover here with a black part and have a bigger pill shaped notch? According to a lot of leakers, that's because they do want to make a different type of notch than the Android's phones and make it memorable, but I don't see why Apple just simply paint this part here and make it a black notch, a bigger pill-shaped notch. I don't see why. They have no reason not to do it, and this area here is not usable. You can clearly see that you won't be able to use it to anything. Then why Apple simply covers this area with black screen, or just makes here the notch a little bit bigger and makes a single intrusion than other making two? I don't see why. I don't see why Apple doesn't do this, and I'm very confused. But leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Would you like to see a bigger notch covering all of this part of the display, or do you like this approach of having two different types of notches, a home punch and a pill shaped? At least I have to say, and I have to give to Apple, that this is different. This is different than the other Android makers, so props to you, Apple. You are making something different that you look at it and say, this is an iPhone. So again, props to you, Apple. You did it, but it feels kind of strange that you didn't cover all of this part here. But again, like I was telling you, this is Apple's choice, but take this with a huge grain of salt. At the end of the year, or at least at the end of this cycle, we could see that the iPhone 14 will have the same iPhone 13's notch, but that's unlikely because Ross Young is very, very accurate, and so if he says that we are getting this type of notch, it's very, very likely that we will. But leave on the comments down below what are your thoughts on these two types of notches. But like I was telling you, don't forget to go grab the Apple cloth. It's pretty cool. It's cheap. It's very good. According to reviewers, it's the best cleaning cloth on the market. It's from microfibers and it cleans their display incredibly well. So if you are interested in these cloths, go for their website before they go out of stock. And of course, expect a 48 megapixel camera on the iPhone 14, but do not expect a hole punch display, neither a pill-shaped notch. So again, according to Ross Young, expect both. So what are your thoughts on this? Leave them in the comments down below. And if you get an Apple cloth, also leave in the comments down below how much did you pay for it. So before you go, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and of course follow my social networks, Twitter and Instagram. This was Sexumer talking to you here. Bye.